So this is it. An entire season comes down to this. A second trip to Texas Motor Speedway, this time in the daytime. The points swing is 14 between myself and Scott Dixon. This is an incredibly close points fight for the championship, and it's going to be decided by one or two positions. If Dixon finishes ahead of me in any capacity, he's got the championship. But if I can win the race and Scott Dixon finishes in third or fourth spot, or below that, fingers crossed, I will be the champion. Vice versa, if he finishes way back there, I may only need to finish 5th or 6th in the race to take the championship. So a lot of things on the line heading into Texas. And if you guys remember from the old IndyCar IRL era, when they would come to Texas for the final race, it would always be balls to the wall, absolutely crazy. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the point standings before we head into the final race, just so you can see where everybody stands before we get to the final race. So 34 drivers have taken part in this season. I would imagine we're going to have a pretty big grid here at Texas. But first, let's head over to the, ABC Sports booth to give Bob Jenkins one last introduction to this season.
The final race of the season, and we make a second visit to the High Bank High-Speed Texas Motor Speedway. Again, the cars will be running the low-downforce speedway wing configuration. A perfect place to end the season. Texas always produces fast, close racing, and if you want to stand any chance of a good place at the finish, you will need to be prepared for close side-by-side racing and be able to maximize the horsepower of your car whenever possible. Texas is a rewarding track to drive, but it requires 110% concentration and commitment, and some good luck.
All right, so ready to get qualified here at Texas. Last time I showed up, I was quite quick. I got on the front row, but I had a bad setup. Really, it was a fast setup, but it was a bad setup, and we did not have a good race. Boy, I would have liked to have that race back. So Jill DeFerrin right now on the pole position at 228 and almost 229 miles an hour. Our Lord and Savior Buddy Lazier has finally showed up for the final race of the season, so that makes me happy. And it looks like, as I said, it's going to be a pretty big grid. Eddie Cheever here as well in the second Red Bull car. But we're going to go out and qualify. I don't know if we're going to be able to touch Felipe Giaffoni's 229.4. Man, that is a heck of a lap. From that car that has not shown a lot of pace this season. That G-Force Toyota just not quite the hot ticket. But let's see if we can get a little bit faster than 229 in the Land Speed Racing car in the final race. We got to beat Scott Dixon, who of course is at the bottom of the board, and we won't know until we've qualified how fast he's going to go. So as usual, ready to go qualifying here at Texas Motor Speedway. Going to bring the fuel all the way down as much as I can. Going to trim the wing out just a little bit. Not too much. We don't want some understeer. In testing, I ran this car at about 228 miles an hour. That should be good for the first 2 rows, but it's not going to be good for the pole. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the pole pays a point. So, you know, there is a point on the line here. Could get the gap down to 13. And if it comes down to a 1-point swing between myself and Scott Dixon, boy, you can imagine that I would want this qualifying session back. So here we go. What are we going to have in store? I've got the qualifying setup geared to run right at the top of the 6th gear the whole way around. Let's see if we've got it. Running at 226 miles an hour through the first and second corner, which isn't ruined on this version of Texas Motor Speedway, up to 231 and hitting the rev limiter a little bit. That's concerning. So I could have probably had a little bit more gear in the car. As we cross the line, 228.4 on the warm-up, so not a bad lap at all. Not a bad lap at all. Let's see if we can get a little bit more speed, carry a little bit more down the back straightaway. This is what's going to hurt me right here. 231 is what I had the car geared for, and that's all it's given me. Down the back straightaway, probably could be in there at 233, 234 if I geared it a little bit better. With 230 miles an hour, 230.1. That is a hell of a lap. Where did that come from? Holy smokes. And that is a pole position right now, unless Scott Dixon has a magical 230 mile an hour lap in the tank. This car is hooked up. This car is fast. and it may be on the pole position, 229.6, but holy smoke, what an amazing first lap that was. And we do take the pole position. Scott Dixon will roll off in the 5th position. He could only muster a 228.5. So, wow. This is a good start to the final race of the season, the Chevy Indy 500. Really? Anyway, let's take a look at the starting lineup. So on the pole position, doing everything I need to do on the pole is me. On the outside is Felipe Giafoni. All Penske second row, DeFerrin and Castroneves. Row number 3, Scott Dixon and Vitor Mira, who's found a lot of speed in the later part of the season. The pole sitter last in the spring was Thomas Scheckter alongside Kenny Brack, Brian Herta, and Sam Hornish on the next row. And in row 6 is Robbie Buell along with Alex Barron. Row number 7, Tony Kanaan way back in the field alongside Greg Ray. Row number 8, Tora Takagi alongside A.J. Foyt. Row number 9, Roger Yasukawa alongside Al Unser Jr. Inside row number 10 is our Lord and Savior Buddy Lazier alongside Dan Weldon. Row number 11, Sarah Fisher alongside Scott Sharp. And in row number 12 is Eddie Cheever alongside Ed Carpenter. And bringing up the rear for Red Bull Cheever Racing is Buddy Rice. So, 26 cars? Okay. Yeah, 25 cars ready to take the green flag here at Texas for the final race of the season. As I said previously, day race. Going to be fairly interesting here. Going to keep the fuel mix. I'm going to put it at 5. Going to move the front bar up all the way positive. If I need to move that later on in the race, we'll see. So we're coming up to the commitment cone now. And accelerating. And we are underway for the final race of the season at Texas. Felipe Giafoni couldn't quite get around the outside of me. He'll fall into second place. We got the Penskes along with Dixon falling in behind. And here comes Giafoni to the outside. Couldn't quite pull off the pass. So it'll be me leading into turn 3 with Giafoni in second. And it looks like Castroneves in third, at least from what I can see from the mirrors. A lot of fast Brazilians up here. Here comes Giafoni to the outside. He's probably at least going to get alongside me, possibly into the lead. But remember, this is going to be a bit of a pack race here at the front, no doubt about it. It's probably going to be that way at least through the entirety of the first stint. We'll see what happens once we get into pit stops and how much that spreads the field out. But right now, I've got a car to lead the race, so that's what I'm going to do. I think there's a bonus point for leading the most laps as well, so that's always a good thing. Oh, man. Little bit of Takuma Sato grass action happening in turn 1 there. Or on the main straightaway, I should say, and almost pushed up into Giafoni. Thankfully, he wasn't on my outside. And Giafoni looking to the outside. Can he pass? Or is it going to be a typical Texas race where you really can't pass the leader as long as the leader holds that inside lane? Looks like that's what it's going to be, but Giafoni got out of the groove just a little bit, and that's going to allow Castroneves down to the inside. We're running at a very, very high pace right now, almost 227 miles an hour. But right now, I've been able to take the lead because Giafoni fell back into the pack just a little bit, and now it's Castroneves who's going to be challenging in behind. And there's a crash. Felipe Giafoni looks like spun in the back. No, it wasn't Giafoni, it was Brack. It was Brack. There was a spin in the back of the pack, but man, there's the yellow.
The pits are closed. Hit as soon as they open.
So let's see the spin that I thought I saw in the rear, which I think is going to cause this situation. Looks like Kenny Brack got in behind Scott Dixon, lost control, but was able to hold on to it and kept going. Oh, no, he didn't. He caught Dan Weldon. Dan Weldon ran up the back of him, and then Eddie Cheever gets pushed into the wall by Kenny Brack, and that's what brings out the yellow. Let's go on board with Eddie Cheever, see what he saw. There's Weldon making contact with Brack, and then, oh, it's a lot of Indy 500 winners all together making contact, and I don't know how Buddy Rice got through that and almost made a Red Bull cocktail. All right, let's go on board with Buddy Rice, see what he saw as the crash happens in front of him. Brack and Cheever, man, oh man, that was a close one for Buddy Rice. So the pits are open, the pace car's coming in, and I guess so will I, since I am the leader, but the rest of the field is coming down as well. So this is going to be quite interesting here as the pit sequence is going to come into effect, and everybody, and the green flag is out, but everybody's pitting. I'm going to be trapped behind the pace car here. I'm going to try to keep it under 60 miles an hour, which I do. So, alright, we don't need to save the race. Probably don't need 49 laps of fuel. Kind of want a shorter pit stop, so let's go down to 45 at least. Actually, that's going to be cutting it close. Let's go to 47. Man, that was close. That was almost a big mistake. So the pit crew goes to work here on the Lids Dallara. Chevrolet power, if you weren't aware, and virtually the entire field in the pits. So we should be coming out of the pits now, and everybody else is just coming out behind me. Kenny Brack comes around, and so does Dan Weldon, and actually they're leading the race. They are leading the race. Despite crashing, they're in the lead. Oh no. Uh-oh, that's going to hurt the point swing a little bit. Maybe I should have stayed out, but good lord. Alright, so I guess they could theoretically make it to the end of the race, but we're back to racing, at least for us. Cold tires, got to be a bit careful here. I've got the wick turned up, and another yellow.
The pits are closed.
So, as the angry grandpa used to say, karma's a mother chicken, and it looks like Brack is going to get punished for his gaming of the system, and as cars came out of the pits, he got in the wall. Alright, so that was contact with Tony Kanaan. Let's see from Brack's perspective exactly what took place as cars come back onto the track. Brack just didn't see him, I guess, and then makes big contact with the outside wall, putting him out of the race. So more trouble occurs under the yellow flag. Contact with the pace car. A.J. Foyt IV hit the pace car, spun it out. I can't believe that. So something I didn't even know was possible to happen in this game, a pace car crash under the yellow. A.J. Foyt IV makes contact, smacks the outside wall, and the pace car goes spinning behind him. Let's watch from Buddy Lazier's perspective. You can see the crash happen out in front, and the pace car goes spinning. Unreal. What even is this race? I can't even believe it. Just watch this in slow-mo. It's too crazy to even think that this happened, but it friggin' did. IndyCar 2005, you had one last trick up your sleeve. One more look before it's lost forever. But man, oh man, what was going on? What was going on with that? And we're going to go by the pace car right now, which seems to be still undamaged, to come pack up to the rest of the field, but it's probably going to be a bit of a longer yellow now because the entire field is going to have to come back around to catch up to the pace car. Lots of lap traffic in the mix now because Weldon was able to lap a lot of the back of the field before the Brack accident happened. Alright, the field is finally packed up behind the pace car. No more issues, it seems. We may be getting the green flag momentarily, though they haven't opened the pits just yet. May have to come around for another... Well, no, there's the pits open. So we should be going back to the green flag on lap number 16 because the pace car pulls off on the back straightaway. Or I guess not on the back straightaway. They pull off... Maybe they do, I don't remember. They might pull off, or the pace car might pull off in turn 1 down here and let the leader, who is Weldon, determine the restart pace, or the pace car might pull off down the middle of the back straightaway. As you hear, the green flag's this time by, pace car pulls off down in turn 1, so interesting. We've seen two different pace car procedures as well today, because the pace car pulled down when I was leading off of the back straightaway. This time, the pace car pulled off of the track at turn 1. So Weldon is the leader. I'm second. We got a lot of lap traffic in between myself and Weldon. But the way the pack racing, and Weldon's coming into the pits. Weldon is coming into the pits. So he could not make it. So Ed Carpenter who is now on the tail end of the lead lap, is going to be bringing the field back to the green, and Castroneves almost got the drop on me, but you know who did? It was Felipe Giafoni, as well as Sam Hornish and Gilles de Ferran. I tried to hold back to try to not get involved with the lap cars, and around go a lot of the leaders, including Scott Dixon. So now we know we got to go. We saved enough fuel at this point that I'm going to get up into 6th or 7th fuel mix. Got to make sure we don't cause any trouble here underneath Dixon. I got to get going here because the pack racing is going to allow it or make it hard to pass. The one good thing is having the jam cars up there as we get around Dixon. So into the championship, or not the championship lead, but leading the championship drivers right now. I really should be up in the 6th gear, I think. I'll get into 6th gear on the main straightaway, I think. All right, up into 6th gear. Yeah, the race pace has really increased now as Dixon's looking to the outside, trying to get around. Nowhere for him to go right now. Car coming out of the pits. Is this going to LePage the field? Oh, that's Weldon. Oh, man. No, the Penske's are... Oh, man. Oh, no. I was caught up in it, but it looks like... Oh, man, what a big crash. Dixon! Dixon's out! Dixon was involved in the crash. The big one strikes at Texas. Weldon pulled out of the pits, and de Ferran tried to avoid him. Couldn't. Then was T-boned by Castroneves, who then caught up with, oh man, just a bunch of cars. I think Thomas Scheckter was involved. So let's watch what happened to Elio as he T-boned poor de Ferran, and then Elio goes for a flyer, collects Scheckter, and then there's just more contact in front. All right, let's watch on board with Scheckter as the crash happens in front of him. They move up the track and just nowhere to go for Scheckter. Herta's out of it. Herta was involved as well. And then collecting more cars, including Vitor Mira and Tora Takagi. And here is the major championship implication. Racing down into turn 3, the crash happens. Somehow Dixon misses it. He actually got contact. And then he gets hit from behind. I think I may have made contact with him and Sharp, and then as he tries to get into the pits, that's when the contact with the wall happens. Unbelievable. Let's watch from Scott Sharp's perspective right here as the crash happens in front. Looks like we've all avoided it, and then I made contact with Sharp as I tried to slow down. He just barely brushed Dixon. It's hard to tell if that was actually what turned Dixon into the wall or not, but man, this is a massive accident. So into the pits we come, and it's going to be repair time. We can do this legally under the yellow, won't get a black flag for repairs. That's the IndyCar rule. It's essential repairs only under a caution flag before they open the pits, and that's obviously what this is, with one wheel knocked off the thing. And we'll get back out there, and now we just need to kind of get some points here as they finish the repairs. Going to finish with the front wing here in just a second, and then we'll be back out into the show. So the pits are open, and the green flag is coming out this time around. Only on lap 20 of this motor race, which has been so insane. As we've got Giafoni out in front. I'm in 8th position. Probably a lap down, but I'm not really sure. There's an awful lot of cars around me. Again, we should be okay. Shouldn't get a penalty or anything for coming into the pits then. I'm going to move the fuel mix up into mix 7. Try not to get some wheel spin here on the restart.
Green flag.
And really get a good jump that time.
Clear.
Getting the blue flags
Car outside.
as Al Unser Jr. moves around the outside and puts me a lap down. I would imagine Al Jr. is the leader, maybe. Hard to tell.
Car outside.
But I'm going to drive around Giafoni as well, who was my front row mate earlier on in the race. Getting the blue flag again. I believe it will penalize you if you don't heed the blue flag long enough. And Hornish is the leader, so it's Hornish, Giafoni, Unser.
Still there.
Whoa.
Car on your right side.
Tony Kanaan just got a huge run on the inside. Was that for position? I think that may have been for position because he just blew by me. He was on the inside and committed and was not gonna lift. So that was 9th place.
Outside, still there, outside, outside.
Remember, I need to make up 14 points on Dixon here.
You are 1/10 of a second ahead of Barron. Car outside,
So Alex Barron is outside of me, trying to get to my outside, trying to pass me.
Still there, outside.
So I need to get on it here. Yeah, Kanaan was for position, so
Still there.
I need some drafting help. I guess Barron could provide that.
Car outside,
Boy, Kanaan just made a huge move to the inside of me. And there's another caution. Holy cow. This time the crash involves Ed Carpenter, who's 3 wide into turn 3. That probably is going to cause some trouble. And he gets up into the wall, hits Robbie Buell, and then head on into the outside wall and up and over several times out of turn 4. So the pits are open, should be green this time around. Gained another position under the caution because Robbie Buell was the one who made contact with Ed Carpenter. Unfortunately, he only lost 1 lap, so that's him directly behind me. Buddy Lazier, our Lord and Savior, I believe is running 4th right now behind Hornish and Giafoni and Al Jr. So we need to be kind of cautious not to affect his race too much here on this restart. But Kanaan is for position, and behind is Buell and Barron, both for position. So we should be getting the green flag this time around. Going to be up in fuel mix 7. Hopefully we can run 20 caution-free laps, but the way this has gone so far, I'm not too hopeful.
Green flag, green flag.
And back to the racing
You've taken 8th place.
at Texas.
Car on your
Diving
right
underneath
side.
Buddy
Still
Lazier.
there,
Gonna get
outside.
around him, I
Still
think.
there.
Well, no.
You are clear.
I backed out of it.
You
I think
are
Buddy's
3/10
more valuable to
seconds
me in
ahead of
front
Barron.
as a drafting partner right now, because I've got to get up to Tony Kanaan, who's unlapping himself from Sam Hornish right now. So that's fairly interesting. So to get to Kanaan, we really got to go get flying here, and not in the way that Castroneves was earlier. So I lift off the gas behind Lazier. Again, he's running 4th, so generally speaking, I don't want to be the cause of my favorite driver having an issue. So I dive up the inside. Giafoni and Al Jr. just banged wheels.
Outside, still there, outside.
So I'm absolutely
outside,
committed underneath Lazier.
Still there, outside,
Trying to stay away from him as best I can, but not affect his race too much.
Still there, outside.
I think I need to be up in 5th gear.
Still there.
Not getting enough
Still
drive in
there.
6th.
Outside, still there.
Down
You
a
are
gear.
clear.
Another crash. Another car in the wall. That may not bring out the yellow. We'll see. As long as nobody piles into him. There's a blue car. Might be Buddy Rice. Or possibly Dario, even though I don't think Dario's in this race. I guess Dario didn't show up at Texas. I don't know.
You are 0.6 of a second ahead of Barron.
Getting a run behind Giafoni. Pulling away from Buddy, who actually fell behind.
Outside,
He had a
still
bad
there,
run on me.
outside, clear.
And unfortunately, I think I may have given that
1.7
position
seconds behind
from
Kanaan.
Lazier to
You've taken 7th place.
Fisher. But regardless, I'm around my former front row
You are
mate,
9/10 of a second
Giafoni.
ahead of Barron.
Got a couple
Car
cars
on
down
your
below.
left side, inside, clear.
Oh, I had
Car
to
on
dive to
your
the
left
outside.
side,
Just
still
oh,
there. You are clear. Car
man, that was
inside,
major
clear.
contact with
Car
Giafoni.
inside.
And Lazier
Inside,
gets
inside,
around.
Still there. You are clear.
Oh, I don't want to be on the
Car
outside. No,
clear.
no,
You
no.
are 3/10 of a second ahead of Barron. Your rear wing and your gearbox
And into the wall I
and
go.
your front wing and your oil
I knew I
set
didn't want to be on
and
the
your
outside.
front right suspension and your electronics
Oh,
have sustained damage.
no.
We can fix that damage, but we need you to pit now.
And that was a big hit. I don't know how my car isn't out of the race. But that may be my championship over with. Oh, that is just a major
Watch
shame.
your speed in the pits. Keep it under 60.
I need a yellow to come out, and I don't think I'm going to get it.
Behind Takagi.
That's a major setback. Major setback. This is going to lose us at least 3 or 4 laps. In addition to the one I was already down. I don't know if it almost felt like I had contact or the car just jumped sideways on me. But I'm going to need some serious help from more cars falling out of the race towards the end of this one. Man, I don't know. It's going to be so close, the points fight. This is exactly what I didn't need, and boy, oh boy, is that wing taking forever to do. It's finally done. It's finally back out into the fight. But we're going to be many, many, many laps behind. So Buddy back to 4th, Fisher 5th, Kanaan 6th. I was battling for that position, but we're only 13th. So, I mean, now Mira goes by. So we'll be battling Mira.
You are 56 seconds ahead of Yasukawa.
We'll be battling Mira for that position, so I need to get on it here. Need to get as many points as I can. As I come back out of the pits, tires just a little bit worn and old and just no good. And there's more cars. Was there more cars in the pits, or was that just... It may have been an optical illusion. Tough to tell. Okay, so lap 37. Vitor Mira just out in front. The only thing that's good is that I know this setup is very close to my qualifying one, so by myself I can theoretically run 228.5 miles an hour around here. Pretty much no problem. So 226 right now. Almost 227. Mira is 5.8 seconds ahead, and that may be the difference between myself winning a championship and losing one right now. That one position. It's going to be tough with no drafting help, but the one thing that's good is no traffic slowing me down in the corner, so I can take whatever line I want and just run a nice, steady, consistent pace, as opposed to the rest of the field, which may not have that luxury. This car's working over the bumps quite a bit. Coming up to 10 laps to go here at Texas for a championship. Is it in the cards? Is it not in the cards? Our rival's out of the race. I should have really been out of the race.
You are 5.1 seconds behind Mira.
Oh no!
Looks like you're out of the race.
Well, that's it. This is what we call asking too much of the car in the final laps of the race, trying to chase down a position for a championship, and into the wall we go. And that's how our season ends here at Texas. So there you go. There's my damaged car. Man, Texas was not good to me. It's probably going to be what cost me a championship. Yeah, Dixon scored 13 points. I scored 15. So I made up 2 points on him, and I daren't look. But had I finished in 7th, where it looked like I was, I would have made up 13 points. So I was in championship position, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Oh, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. But Sam Hornish wins. Al Alonso Jr. 2nd, Felipe Giafoni 3rd, Buddy Lazier 4th, and Sarah Fisher final car in the lead lap in 5th. Down through the rest of the field, you can see where everybody finished. What a crushing defeat. What a crushing defeat. That is that's such a shame. But man, what a wreckfest this was. Oh boy. Well, let's look on the bright side and congratulate Scott Dixon and say that was a pretty fantastic season. Really exciting, and we just didn't get it. Oh, and here's the series standings, or at least what happened in the series throughout the season. So Castroneves, pole and victory in Miami. Dixon did the same in Phoenix. Dixon was the pole sitter, but Toru Takagi took a win in his home race in Japan. Sam Hornish Jr. was the Indy 500 winner. Kanaan, and then I had a summer of land with a pole and win at Pikes Peak, and then wins at Richmond, Kansas. And then Nashville went to Dixon. I won at Michigan, Gateway, Kentucky, Nazareth. Then DeFerrin took Chicagoland. I won California, and it was Hornish who took Texas. So there's the final point standings. Scott Dixon at 550 points over mine at 538. Second place is all I could muster in IndyCar Series 2005. Man, I would have had it if I just held on for a couple more laps. That's a shame. But you know what? We're not done with IndyCar Series 2005. Check back here in Indy 500 month. There's still a few more things in this game that we're going to be taking a look at. And hey, if this video gets enough support, if you guys like this video enough, maybe share it. People want to see more of this, let me know down in the comments, because there's always a possibility of doing a second season. And obviously, looking at that score table, got some unfinished business. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more IndyCar and motorsport content, and we'll see you in the next video.